Greetings all. Haven't done a live for a wee while, so I thought I'd better come on and say g'day and share some more understandings and some insights. It's 2:20 PM on the 23rd of the 7th, 2020. Coming to you from the top of the South Island in Nelson. Sunny day out there, although we did have a bit of rain come over. It's quite cold. So I thought I'd come on and go over a couple of more deceptions built within the lexicon, because it is a lexicon. And we'll just plant some more seeds and see how we get on here. G'day Skins, how are ya? Kia ora, brother. Hope all is good in the hood. Wink wink, because we're all being hoodwinked, eh? All good in the hood. So yeah, we cannot force someone to hear a message they are not ready to receive. They must never underestimate, but we must never underestimate the power of planting seeds. So that's all I'm doing, is planting a few seeds. Hopefully to get you to look at things in maybe a different way. I'll give you a couple of quotes. Here's a good one I like. Albert Einstein said, "Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous." Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. And we say, some people say there's coincidence. I don't believe in it myself. Serendipity, I do believe in, but coincidence, I don't know about that one. We're going to get into again about the doublespeak of the language. Of course, doublespeak, you might know from George Orwell. Made the term quite famous, I think, in the Ministry of Truth. We have the Ministry of Truth here in New Zealand. You call the government, I do believe. So doublespeak is a language that is deliberately obscures, disguises, distorts or reverses the meaning of words. Doublespeak may take the form of euphemisms, in which case it is primarily meant to make the truth sound more palatable. That's food for thought there. It may also refer to intentional ambiguity in language or to actual inversions of meaning. Okay, a bit of doublespeak. And we'll delve into a little bit of etymology as well. Etymology is the study of words, their origin, and how their form and meaning have changed over time. And I can give you a prime example of that, actually. For instance, this word here, I've done it before with you, it's the word nice. Okay, we'll say, oh, it's a nice day, or you look nice today. It's from, well, the old French version, means ignorant, foolish, frivolous, senseless, careless, clumsy, poor, needy, simple, stupid, foolish, silly. And so when the government says, oh, everything's nice, we're going to find a solution. They're talking about solution, of course, which is water. It's liquidity, that's where we get quid from, liquid, liquidity. So we'll delve into a bit more of the spellings within the words. Remember, words are power. They're not just elements of speech or writing, because they can be used to strengthen the effects of magic. When spoken out loud, words transform into frequencies and vibrations that can be used to direct energy. This is one of the first steps to creating real magic. I'll just leave that there for a sec. You guys can check that out. Just pause the video later and read that, if I can hold it still enough. So there you go. So again, we're going to get back to the food for thought on the smorgasbord of truth. And we'll expound and expand a little bit upon what we've got here. I've tidied it up a little bit. Going to go over a few more things to help you to realise the real lies with your real eyes. Okay, that's how that works. And to do that, we're going to give you a bit of knowledge, to give you a bit of inner standing, outer standing and understanding. Make no mistake, there are things you do need to understand. Remember, the word understand comes from the old Greek days when they were building structures. They would get down into the foundation, look back up upon the structure or the framework that they'd built to make sure that it would withstand that which they were going to place upon it. whether it be bricks or more timber or mortar or whatever it is. So that's where understand comes from. And so when a uniformed individual in blue pulls you over, he's the officer, he's there to give you an offer, he will ask you if you understand. So what he's asking you is, do you stand under? In that particular instance, you don't want to understand, okay? Because he's getting you to stand under his jurisdiction. He's getting you into a contract. You ask any mother about contracts and she'll tell you how painful they are. Okay? That's how that works. It's all about contract. The contracts are being cast with spells. In the spelling. In the spelling, okay? So we're going to go over and delve into that a little bit more. Thanks for joining us. Alan, Joe, Skins. Again, thanks for getting on board. Yeah, invite some friends along. Again, we're going to go over some stuff. Yeah, knowledge. Remember, knowledge is power. The knoll on the edge of things. If you're on a knoll and you're on the edge of the knoll, then you can see farther. And ignorance is the single greatest tool of oppression. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. So having an opinion's all well and good, folks, but unless it's an informed one, then, you know, it's not worth much, unfortunately. And caveat emptor, this applies to everything I'm telling you as well. Caveat emptor, we know, means buyer beware. Put in another way, it's let those that be deceived, okay? So if I tell you in nice flowery language that all sounds good, that I'm coming round to your house and I'm eating all the food in your fridge, parking up on your couch for an hour or two, watching your TV, then I'm going to steal it, take you what food's left and drive away in your car in nice fairy lovely language, and you don't understand it, you don't comprehend it, you don't understand the contract that's being presented, and you have no way to contest that contract, then let those that be deceived. That's how that works. So that's what we got to get up to. I'll just close that door. And we got to get up to that. Okay? And so this applies again to everything I'm telling you. You know, this is just entertainment. It's information that enter to attain your mind, okay? And if you think about it, then maybe it might change your mind. But then if you don't mind, it won't matter. And it doesn't matter if you don't mind, does it? That's how that works. I'm going to discuss a few of those things. All about human nature. You know, is it good or evil? What determines human nature? I think you'll find it's the environment. The environment determines human nature. I mean, ultimately, we're compassionate, kind, caring, sharing, social creatures who just want to get on, expressing our light organically, vibrating energetically, operating in truth, at the heart of the matter, with insight and comprehension of our gift of divinity, God, that word that does cause a lot of insight and a lot of division. So we've got to get back into the frequencies. It's about the frequencies and our true nature and the environment of which we're operating in. And unfortunately, it's not a very healthy environment at the moment because it's full of lots of lies and deception and doublespeak and all that rubbish from the Medea. Remember the Medea? That place where the soothsayers and the oracles and the shamans all gathered. The kings would send their pages there to find out whether they should plant corn or go and invade this tribe or steal that crop or whatever they should do. That's what the media did, the Medea. The people in Medea told them what they should do or what's going to happen, and that's exactly what's going on. You've got the media telling you exactly what's going on, but unfortunately, it's all in this doublespeak spelling language. But they tell you because, you know, it's news. Remember where the news comes from? The north, east, west and south? Where the king would send his rider out to the boundaries of his border. One out to the north, one out to the east. one out to the west and one out to the south, to find out what's going on in his domain, in his kingdom. Because he was a wise king. He had wisdom in his domain, his dominion. See how that works? That's how that works. And so we have the media telling us all sorts of things, telling us how to think, getting us into a state of mind control. Hey guys, thanks for joining us at the table. More food for thought here on the smorgasbord of truth, because there's more gas on this board of truth. I'm your host, Not the Norm. Thanks for joining us. I used to have a radio show called Not the Norm here in Nelson. Did it for a couple of years. Interviewed some interesting people on board too, trying to bring some of these insights and outsight and things. But yeah, but we've got a press and a media at the moment. They just give them another 50 million bucks by the government to keep their mouths shut and play the game. That's how it works, you know. Paying here, paying there, paying someone's always paying. A lot of paying out there. But anyway, so the press, what do? Oh, they express and they impress and they repress and they depress. You got to turn your TVs off, folks. Seriously. It's not doing you any good. Because the news they're giving you is just, it's fairy tale. It's bullshit. And you got to wake up to it. Because while you're all believing the crap that you're watching on your TVs, the real world's falling apart around you. A few more people waking up to it, which is all good. A lot of people don't quite comprehend the levels of the spells which we've been bound by. And it all starts with this stuff here. Okay? There's keys within these writings, because it's all code. See, this is code. And the government loves giving you code too, don't they? They love giving you all sorts of code. This code over here, that's the code they like to give you, isn't it? There's all sorts of clause in there and sections. They want to section you and clause you in there. Now, I'm not a religious man, but in this book over here, the rules and the laws are pretty simple. They're pretty simple stuff. And I can live by those. I can live by those laws. These ones are simple. I'm not a religious man, but these laws are simple. And you go to any religion and these laws are pretty much unanimous. But over here, these ones are unfathomable because it's law of the sea. It's law of the dead. It's law of the sea and the law of the dead. It's all legal. It's fiction. Okay? It's a person. The word person means a corporation. Corporation's a Latin word. Corpse is a dead body. Oration is to speak. A corporation is a dead body speaking. You would like to think you're a good person. Well, you've just entered into a contract if you agreed to that. That's how that works. That's how they get you. That's how they get you by the definitions of the words, where you think they mean one thing and they mean something else. And they'll use all sorts of lovely words to describe themselves too, like candidate. You like to vote for the candidate, don't you? At the party. You like to go to the party and be part of with the candidate. All the little kiddies like that, don't they? When they devote, oh, no, they vote, don't they? They devote them, they're idols. You're told not to idolise. Idolatry. No, there's lots of people that don't think they're religious out there, but they're all out there speaking in tongues. There's lots of people that claim they are religious, but don't seem to see what's going on. They still consent without contest, because they've lost their testicles, you see. There's no testicles there, there's no balls. And the con's been sent, but there's no test to the con. And that's how they get you from the world of the living over here to the world of the dead. The deed, because you're indeed over here, folks. You're indeed, that's how that works. All your rules, your regulations, your acts, because they're all actors. They're telling you they're actors. The judge sits up there in his cape and his wig. He's an actor. He's called the magistrate, isn't he? He's called the magistrate. He's called the magistrate because it's straight out magic what he's performing up there. He's sitting on a bench. Bench is a Latin word. It means bank. He works with a bank. He don't care who's paying. Someone's paying. You're in court because you've been caught. It's like tennis. And it's a racket. But there's no love in this game when you're caught in court. Hey, is they summons you. They summons the dead. They summons the person, don't they? Because it's the dead body speaking. They need the living man to go in, or woman, to go in there and say, yes, that's me. I am the namey, the nummy. Nah, it's not me. It's a nomenclature. Go and look up the word nomenclature. That's what it is. It's a person. A person is a persona. Persona has a character. It's a caricature. You can go to the Nelson Saturday Market and get someone to draw your caricature. It's your character. It's a facet of you. It's one of your faces, but it's not you. It's not your persona. It's not you. It's not you. It's not the vessel that's you. You've got to start getting a handle on this and get good standing, folks. Because your cup, your vessel, is being drained. It's being liquidated. That's what's happening. Your vessel's being liquidated. It's all done. It's all done by the water and through your ignorance. And because of your ignorance, let those that be deceived be deceived. Keep voting for your candidate. Keep voting for your democracy. Demos is a demonstration. Demonstration. The act of. Stration is the act of. Castration. Cast is to cut off. A cast. See how that works? Casting spells, spelling, you're cast, you're set into casts. You know, in India they have different castes or castes, they call them. They may change the phonic because it's phony. It's the Phoenicians' phony phonic language, full of spells and spelling, used to cast the show through the media, through the anchors, because they cast, they're newscasters. See how that works? Anchor. And then you're anchored, aren't you? And when you're anchored, you're in accord. You're in accord to the ankh. The ankh, well, that's an Egyptian symbol, isn't it? When you're in accord, you're in accordance. Accord's an ankh. An anchor, isn't it? Oh, is that how that works? That's how that works, folks. It's contract by deception. It's a very clever deception. But let those that be deceived be deceived. That's how that works. Okay, so when you think you're in accord with things, it sounds good, doesn't it? Because you think you know the news, because you've been watching the media, the media. You've been watching the magicians and the soothsayers and the shamans distract with abstract and their constructs to instruct and destruct. That's what they do. That's what they do, folks. That's what your news anchor does. They anchor you and they cast the spells. You've all been taught about spelling, haven't you? Taught's torture. They taught you, didn't they? They taught you this. You had to be whacked and caned and to have all this stuff drummed into you. Because you needed to have your minds controlled. See, that's what graduation means. The word graduation means gradual indoctrination. It's very clever. But again, let those that be deceived be deceived. And the teachers hate those kids that question things, didn't they? Hey, were you one of those kids that question things in class? What did you soon learn to do? Shut your mouth, didn't you? That's exactly what it's all about. They don't want you as king, folks. They don't want you as king questions. They want you working. They want you the working. That's where they want you. The quest I on, you better start questing what you're on, mate. It's your quest, and you better start being as kings on your quest, and queens. QE2, in fact. Question everything twice. Because she's raining on you, isn't she? She's raining on you. There's another solution. Oh, we're back in the water again. See how your cup is a vessel in the water, full of liquid, and you're becoming insolvent? Because they're dissolving you, you see? They're spellbanding you. You've been spellbound and you're being shipwrecked because you've got no ownership. You've got no ownership. The crown owns your ship at the moment. Momentous, at the moment. The movement, the emotion. Emotionally, they've got you bound. Mentally, spiritually, they've got you bound. They've got you all as dead corporate entities and persons. They've conscripted you, folks. They've conscripted you. See, there's a script. And the cons are all on the script. But let those that be deceived be deceived. See, there's all sorts of gods in here. There's all your gods are in here. There's L when you sell. When you sell, there's L. You know, Phoenician god L. And your Canaanite gods, Tor, when you were taught. And you thought, there's Thor. And in time, you have... I haven't written that. Well, in time, we all like to time me, don't we? Tie me to this and tie me to that. Because you're appointed, aren't you? Your appointment. Your mind's been appointed. And we have hours. Can you see that? Hours. Which is Horus. That's Horus there, see? See how the spelling, you just change the letters around to get Horus. That's your hours. And it's Set. Oh, it is Set and Horus. And Tammuz and Isis. Oh, it's all good, isn't it? It's all godly. Good God, you say. You say, oh my God. Oh my God, this is insightful. It's rather insightful, Norm. There's all sorts of insight, eh? We like insight, though. Insight gives us foresight. Hey. So that's how that works. So we're being anchored by the spells that are being cast. Because we're put into castes, into culture, into cults. We like our cults, because we're a culture, aren't we? Cult being the root word of culture. That's what that's about. You like your culture. So you put your hand up and say, yeah, I'm part of the culture. Yeah, I'm a good person. I have good character. All these things are nebulous. They're fictitious. They're dead entities, folks. They've got you in a state of mind control, which is hypnotism. You know, they're always talking about the ship of state. What's your ship of state? What state are you in? Is your cup full, half empty? I'd say it's being drained, actually, because at the end of the week, when you feel weak, you know, those end days, those week days that you have to work at your job, which is a Hebrew word, it means persecuted. So when you finished your job at the end of your weekdays, you have a weekend, don't you? Of course you're weak at that end. Of course you're weak at that end because you're being drained. You're being insolvent. You know, there's all sorts of words that reconfirm that you're a ship and a vessel on the seas. You travel on roads, which are shipping lanes. That's why you have islands in the middle of your roads. They're shipping lanes. They've got you as vessels or vassals. There's your vassal. That's your vessel. That's you. Remember, you got to get a handle on it and get good standing. It means getting back on the land. Because over here, we're back on the land. That's the real estate. That's the real estate over there. You get that? See how that works? And to get her, when we're to get her, that's together. That's on Papatuanuku. That's Papatuanuku. So we've got to get back onto the land. You see, because even the water sits on the land, doesn't it? I mean, even under the water there's the land. That's how that works. Seeing on the land, again, we're on solid. We have, it's solidified, isn't it? Solidified. It becomes solidified, the land. It's ground. Gives us good grounding. There we can have that foundation and common locality. Commonality in our locality. That's how that works. That sounds good, eh? That sounds good back on the land. That's how that works. Instead, we're all floundering over here in the sea, which is Admiralty Commercial Banking Law. And over here they have liability, the ability to lie. It's deceit, it's deceitful language. They've got you in groups called Discord. Hey, and it's all doublespeak and legalese. This stuff over here, folks, is legalese. It looks like English, sounds like English, but it is not English. Okay? That might as well be chimpanzees, or Japanese, or Chinese, or Portuguese, or whatever you want to call it, but it's not English. Okay? And that's where you're being deceived. That's where you're being deceived. That's the doublespeak, folks. Legalese is a different language, and that's how they're getting you into contract without you realising, without your real eyes being open, because you can't see. You can't see over here, folks. You can only see. And you're drowning here, because this stuff here is unfathomable, because they measure the sea in fathoms, don't they? That's why it's unfathomable. And this stuff will always be unfathomable. It's colour of law, and that is the hue of man, that they're summonings. It's the corporate entity that they're summonings from the dead. That's why they send you a summons. And they tell you about their summons in the state of a war rant. See, they rant about war, and they like to charge you up, because you like getting charged up, don't you? When you're off to battle, they say, charge. What do they call that group of men that are charging? Oh, they call that a battery. That's a battery norm. That's what they call that, and it's all in the theatre of war. Hey, that's why it's a war rant, and you've been caught. You've been caught, and they'll send you a bill. They want you to be ill, folks. Go look up the Latin word of dollar. Dolan, it means pain. And money, money's the one eye. The AI, there's your pyramid with your eye on top. There's your A, the pyramid, the I. There's your I. It's all there. It's all one eye, isn't it? It's IT. One eye, IT. Do you get it? Do you start to see? Are you starting to realise the state of your mind? No wonder you're confused, because there's lots of cons being fused here, folks. They're all on the table. That's why they send you a cons table, ranting about war to charge you up. Hey, they want to confuse you with their constructions into their contract. Feels a bit like a straight jacket, doesn't it? Hey, that's a straight out jacket there. And they put you in their chambers too. You go to the chambers, don't you? In the old court. That's what they do. That's what they do in there. You've got no hearing in that court because you get the liar, to represent you. No one can represent you. Only you can present yourself in the present. And that's how that works. That's how that works. Right, I'll have a look, see who's here, what's going on. Can you share this to the page? Keo Wahine. I'll try to. When I'm finished here, I'll get on Facebook there and check it out. Watch party happening now. Hey, cool guys. Thanks for joining us in the watch party. Jasmine, how are you, love? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for your support out there, guys. Pat, how you doing, bud? All good in the hood? Just showing you how we've been hoodwinked, eh? Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink off the edge of the cliff. So there's a bit of deceit going on. Lots of it, in fact. Lots of deception going on. And a lot of it's built right in front of our faces again. Once we start to decipher and to dispel and to descript and to design this particular language or this particular form of communication and these symbols, because symbols are sound. Drummers have symbols, don't they? These are all symbols. They create sound. Of course they do. Because that's what, and you can hear them because you hear, and if it sounds good, it rings true. That's how that works. That's pretty comprehensible. It sounds good. Sounds are in frequencies. Frequencies are in waves. Waves are measured in hertz. So sometimes those sound hertz. Maybe when they're not in a chord, they don't sound too good. If they're not in a tune, or you don't atone, there's not at-one-ment there or atonement there, you're not attuning in it, you know, then something doesn't quite vibrate right, you know. It won't quite feel right, because it's all about how we feel. Because field's energy, isn't it? The field, the energy field, which is motion, again. You'll notice there's the word yes and keys there. Just there's all sorts of underlying, interwoven layers of communication being conveyed within these symbols, signs, and ciphers. And we have to decipher, design, and descript, because it's scripture. This is all scripture. This book over here is full of scripture, isn't it? It's your script. Is it your script? Well, ultimately, it's a pretty simple one. I like it. I like it. There's lots of other underlying truths and understandings and hidden meanings and contortions and distortions over centuries and centuries, but and same with this one. It's the same with this book of the law as well, folks, you know. This one here's got all sorts of clause and sections to dissect and charge you up and liquidate you at every possible turn. And there's all sorts of, you know, levels of communication going on. So many different levels of communication going on. It's easy to get confused in amongst all this stuff. It's all deliberate, in fact. It's deliberately designed to keep you all confused and divided. You know, we think we communicate, but in fact, you know, we don't. I'll just look for a quote here. I've got a quote here. Speaking frequencies, cymatics, universe, one song, you know, universe. There's lots of verses in here, isn't it? There's lots of converse in here. There's lots of converse. We like to converse, don't we? We like to converse. We like to converse with each other, don't we? This is Philip K. Dick. He said, the basic tool for the manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. If you can control the meaning of words, you can control the people who must use the words. Hey, choose your next words carefully, because by and large language is a tool for concealing the truth. Dialectics, lectics means choice, and dia means through, by way of. Dialogue. Dialogue. We like to have a dialogue, don't we? That's getting back to the truth with a tree. I'm gonna do a my next probably live was going to be on the tree, and I'm going to show you how truthful the tree is. All about the logarithm. Get back to the trunk of things, eh? Go out on a limb with yous for a wee bit. See what stems from that. That's how that works. Excuse me. So yeah, so we like to con and we like to verse, don't we? Like to con and verse, and we like to discuss, and cuss about things. You know, this stuff's built into the language, folks. It's all there to give you pause, to keep you pause, to keep you pour. Again, it's about the liquid. We pour the liquid, don't we? It's about liquidating you. It's about draining your cells. They do that with a pen, because you like to be O-pen, don't you? Do you know how they do that with a pen? Because a cell is a pen. A pen is a cell, and you're the blood. See, what's the most famous cup you know of, folks? Holy Grail, isn't it? Isn't that the Holy Grail? Holds the blood. The blood holds the cells. The cells are red. Writing's red. When you put your mark, you write. You write, and in the past it's red. That's how that works. It's telling you what's going on. Okay? So when you write, you become the author of the right. You become the authority. You see how that works? That's how that works. That's how that works. You become the author of the right. That's why writing and your rights are extremely powerful. And unfortunately, most people don't know their rights. Go and have a look at your human rights. Go and read the Bill of Rights. For a start, might lead you on to the Magna Carta, United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. There's all sorts of documents out there that establish these things very clearly. And in fact, they're established very clearly not for us, because we know inherently, because it's inherent, isn't it? It's in here, isn't it? It's inherently known what is right and wrong. We inherently know it. We know when we're causing harm, being distrustful or deceitful. You know when you're lying or not telling the whole truth. You should be aware that your politicians are doing that all the time, for goodness sakes. Government, the word government means mind control. Govern, governare in Latin, means control. Ment means mind. In Latin, government is mind control, folks. They've got to tell you what they're doing. It's mind control. And that's the ship of state. What's the state of your mind? Oh, that's your real estate, isn't it? That's your real estate, is your state of mind, because You are the land. You are the land. We all came from the dust, didn't we? All these religions say we're made of the dust. Come from the dust, and from the dust we shall return. But in fact, when we're over here in the land of the deeds, the land of the dead, and the legal fiction with the person, with the lies and the liability and the legalese and the doublespeak and the cons and the confusion and the constructs and the false representation, when you've been caught and you're objecting, you're just cattle. You're chattel and stock in the game. You see that? That's how that works, folks. You've contracted yourselves. And so it must be pretty cold, because, you know, when things contract, it's cold, isn't it? So let's start walking around in a bit more warmth, in the light. We do that by speaking our truth in true sense. Not these cents over here, not your dollars and cents. Not your dollars and cents, folks. Not your dollars, not your pain and your cents. They've sold those cents, mate. They've been sold. Hey, you got to get back to this sense here. That's your intuitive sense, your inherent sense, your God-given sense. Remember God-given, your gift of divinity. Don't get too incited by that. Hopefully don't get too incited, because, you know, it's all in context, The con's all in the text, like I've been trying to show you. This is just a show. It's all on show, right in front of your faces. Let those that be deceived, It's pretty clever. Clever as a cleaver. It's to separate things, to pull things apart, That's what we're doing. We're deciphering, descripting and de-signing, because they will tell you what they're doing. They have to. It's a universal law. It's a maxim. Universal maxim. A universal maxim. If I tell you what I'm going to do to you and you don't contest my claims or what I'm saying I'm going to do, then that is consent. Because silence is acquiescence. Because only the dead are silent, folks. And that's why they have to summons you to court, because they want to raise you from your dead state. They want to raise the living man and woman to represent the dead entity fiction that they've created at your birth through the certificate, because they tell you you've been certified. And it's certifiably insane what is going on. But once you start to see it, I tell you what, there's no going back. Then there will truly be an accord. You know, if these things ring true with you, then it will trigger your intuition. That's why they call lessons intuition, because it's intuitive. It should sound right. It should sound in tune. It should be the right tone, in accordance. Accord is a thing that power travels through, okay? Because knowledge gives us power, which is information, which puts less on our plate, meaning it gives us more information to garner our opinions from, or our suppositions, or our determinations from. And we've got to earn that learning. We've got to earn it, and it's a lesson for each of us. It's to each in their own. So sometimes I miss the words. It's to each in their own. That's how that works. Okay, so knowledge is power. Okay, power is energy, which gives us enlightenment, which is a vibration, force, energy, enlightenment. And it goes through a chord. Power goes through a chord, doesn't it? And it ends up at a consent, doesn't it, folks? It ends up at your consent. Your consent. That's where you plug in or you plug out. That's what gets you in contract, when you consent, because your power, you're powered down, you're being drained, you're being liquidated, folks. They're powering you down, so your ability to respond, your responsibility to respond has been lessened, has been weakened. You're getting low on fuel. You're becoming insolvent. But the government will find a solution, because that means just more money. A solution is just more liquidity, which is contact, which is confuse. Because a contact is a glue that fuses things together. You see, that's how that works. You see? You see how that works? And there's consents when the power flows down. It's current, isn't it? It's current. It's current, and when electricity goes from one electrode to another, it creates an arc, doesn't it? That's how you get an accord with the arc. The arc, or is that the arch? Oh, there's a bit of archery going on here. A bit of bowing, is there? A bit of bowing. Oh, yeah, right, bowing and arrowing here. There's a bit of archery going on, a bit of archery. That's what happens when electricity jumps from one node to another node. From one node to another node. See, that's how that works. You get a bit of an arc. And that's a spark, eh? And that's a thought which gives you enlightenment, which is powerful. See, that's how that works. It's all telling you exactly what's going on and how it works. How the lessons, to each in their own, that's your ownership. That's your ownership. And that's the state of your ship. Hopefully your state of mind, or your real estate, is in good condition. And you're keeping your cup full and fully liquidated. Because then your well come, aren't you? When your well's full, you can quench the thirst of others when your cup's full. But if your cup's empty, then you know you're wasting your time. You're not going to go far on an empty tank of gas, are you? This is why we say well come. In the old days, in our desk, we had an ink well. Our desks with a deck, because we were on board, you see. We're back on the ship. This is a ship of state. This is the state of the ship you're on. You need to get off this ship, particular ship, and start learning how to navigate your own ship, your own vessel. Start filling your own cup up so that you can quench the thirst of others. And you can make informed decisions. Because we all need information to be information, don't we? Because then we're in one position. Oh, are we in uniform then? Are we in uniform? Sure, I don't know whether I like the sound of that. Sounds like a soul dyer, like a soldier. Are we ranting about war again? Is this another war rant? Oh, goodness knows. Oh my God, you might say. Although we're not religious. Because religion is to bind twice. I mean, this stuff's usual. This stuff's pretty usual, folks. And I mean that because the usual population is the mean population, isn't it? And you're starting to see what I mean. You're starting to see what I mean? You're starting to see, I think. Maybe you're starting to learn to captain your ship and not be distracted by the sirens, the police, the officers. They like to give you an offer. Would you like my offer, sir? Well, here's what I say to your offer, mate. Well, you can't see it because it's a sign language, but anyway. But this is all sign language as well. So, you know, you get what I'm saying? It's all sign language, man. It's all about the signs and the symbols and the sounds and the ciphers and the scripts. Because your little vessel, if you've got no wind in behind your sails, because we like a sail, don't we? We like to sail and we go bye-bye as we wave with our little vessels. We like all that stuff, don't we? We like a good sail. And if you've got no wind in your sails, then they're not at their peak. They're not at their peak, are they? If you've got no sound in your voice, then you can't speak. It's not at its peak. You see that? And then there's no wind in your sails, and so you're dead in the water. You're in a lullaby. It's called a lullaby, and that's when you get into the lull of the cipher. That's when you get into Lucifer. You see how that works? That's how that works. It tells you right there. It tells you right there exactly what's going on. But again, you know, as I said right at the very start, let those that be deceived be deceived. So now, hopefully, you're starting to realise, with real eyes, the real lies. And you'll start questioning the wee candidate and his party and his house of... Because parlement, parleur, in the French word, in the French language, means to speak. And mentir, in French language, means lies. So parlementaire means house of lies. So you have the government, the mind controllers, operating from the house of lies. And you vote for the candidate and the party and think you're all doing the right thing and feeling like you have a say in what's going on. Oh, do pray tell. How's that all working out for you guys? Sorry about my sarcasm. Lowest form of wit, I do know, but yeah. So hopefully some of this is, you know, becoming a bit more solidified. It's becoming a bit more tangible, a bit more obvious. Hopefully the stuff is coming a little bit more obvious to you, because you can start to decode, decipher, descript, and design yourself. And then you become the author of the writ and the right, the authority, which is the place you want to be, because then you can captain your ship and navigate those waters at the mast, the head, the mast-er. Not an you don't want to be an actually, but you're in control of the headquarters, and you can contemplate. You can contemplate with your temples. This is your church, your house, your headquarters, isn't it? The mast, the master of the vessel, of the ship on the high seas, navigating the stormy waters of life. And you do that. These are the waves. There's the wave. There's your sine wave, folks. Your sine wave is the alpha, the beta. This is all sign writing. They call our writing cursive too. Just thought I'd remind you of that, because we want to remember and remind, don't we? That's what we want to do. I'm just going to remind you of a couple of quotes, because we're coming up to elections here in New Zealand. Now, if you go back and look at a bit of history, folks, you will find that the Founding Fathers vehemently hated democracy. Because who wants 51% of the population ruling over the other 49? That means you're going to have 49% of your population disgruntled. And if they start importing foreigners left, right and centre, what's the majority of your population going to be? They're not going to be tangata whenua. Hey. So Sir Winston Churchill said, the best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. That's what they think of the constituents. That's what they think of you people. Democracy, a political system where every sheep has an equal say in choosing which wolf it wants the herd to be eaten by. Thomas Jefferson said, a democracy is nothing more than a mob rule, where 51% of the people may take away the rights of the other 49. Think about that. Ben Franklin, democracy is 2 wolves and a lamb voting what to have for lunch. Liberty is a well-armed lamb contesting the vote. Okay? So we got elections coming up, so you can elect. It's either E-L right at the very front of that word. There's another one of your gods. You know, there's another one of your gods out there, folks. Tell me you're not religious. Well, even the people that tell me they are religious, they're still speaking in spells and speaking in tongues, speaking in doublespeak, duplicity. We think we communicate with each other. We don't. Our language is built with discord, division, deception into it. It's built into it. The deception is built within the language. And once you can see it and comprehend it, you can decipher and dispel it. And that's what we're doing. We're dispelling. We're dispelling a lot of the deceptions. We're unveiling the curtains of deception and deceit built within the language, given to you as your writing. They call it your writing. And it's not, man. It's your deception. It's a very clever one. It's an extremely clever deception. You've got to give it credit. But it's all about, the words are all about the water, because that's about the liquidity, which is the value, the cost and the worth. There are so many words within our language that clearly tell you that you are a vessel on the sea. You know, you get an apprenticeship, don't you, when you leave school. And it's cool at school. You arrive there as infancy. Then you're chilled, because that's a child, you're chilled. And then you're an adult, you're adulterated finally. And that's when you get your graduation. Your gradual indoctrination has been completed, and they give you a square hat called a mitre. A square hat that fits over your round head. So they've squared your head, put you in a box. That's what they're telling you. It's exactly what it is. You know, you've got leadership. Currency. Currency is another liquid one, isn't it? Bankruptcy. Seal. They like to put a seal on things, don't they? Hey, they always seal their document. You know, there's a dock, putting you in the dock. That's why you get a passport, because you go past the port. You're going past the port, then you're a vessel on the sea. That means you're open for salvage, folks. You have a bank balance, don't you? That balances things out. Hey, loan sharks. Lots of loan sharks out there. Hey, what's a deposit? You leave a little deposit after sexual intercourse, don't you? You leave a little deposit. There's another liquid. Oh, that's seamen, Norm. Oh, yeah, seamen. Yeah, they're out on the sea, on the vessels, aren't they? The seamen. Hey. You get your cash flow. Got all that sort of stuff, you know. You got the dock and court. You get frozen assets too, don't you? Your assets get frozen if you're liquidated, or you become insolvent. But if you join a fellowship, it won't be so hardship. It won't be so much hardship. Then you'll have companionship. Maybe you'll even learn some craftsmanship. You'll definitely get some workmanship and some scholarship, maybe. Maybe even some ambassadorship. But certainly a partnership within a relationship. I'm starting to feel a bit seasick, actually. Starting to list. Starting to get a bit of a list. It's good to have a list of things, eh? There's a good list of things. Things that you should all be really seriously looking into. Seriously looking into what's going on and how easily it is you're being deceived. Because it's in front of your faces. It's right in front of your faces. It's got to be. They've got to tell you what they're doing, because if you don't respond, then it confers consent. Mate, that's what it does. It confers consent. If you don't contest, you consent. And only the dead are silent. Only the silent are dead, and the dead are silent, mate. So best you speak up and start raising your voices. Because we all place ourselves in danger to one degree or another when we stand up. But we place our children and grandchildren in even greater danger when we don't. And we are the ones we've been waiting for, folks. You guys have got the front row seats. You've got first class tickets. There's no excuses. You need to get out there and raise your voices. Let's cause some harmony, eh? Let's get back to the core of us. Because that sounds good. Then we're in tune and in atonement. We can start exercising a little bit of that. So that's pretty much what it is, how it is. Because you can guarantee, folks, that the rules, the regulations, the laws, the acts, the statutes that this government is putting into place, they're not putting them there because they're not going to use them, okay? So they are clearly telling you what they're going to do with you, to you. They've given you the message. It's because it's a messy age. And we're in an era, and it's a mistake. And we need to turn this theatre of war round into a comedy and start having some fun. because these guys are just, they're on a one-way track. And unfortunately, as passengers on that track, we're all sitting around fighting over where we're going to sit, and the train's going off a cliff. So you need to start pulling your heads out of your malaise. Lift your heads up from grazing on the grass, folks. Stop being the cattle in the field. Stop being the meat in the game. And start becoming masters of your own ships, your own vessels, and your own destiny. Because, you know, I can only do that for myself. I can't do it for you. You can't do it for anybody else. But you can help others to do that. And by doing that, you increase your chances of survivalhood in the future. Because that means you've got people who are as enlightened as you are around you. So get round people who are going to lift you up. Not put you down. Because by God, there's enough people who want to put you down. The whole agenda of the system is to keep you down, under control. T's and C's, terms and conditions, folks. It's tracking and control. Tracing and control. It's coming. Vaccines, your mobile app, before you walk into stores. You're going to have to wake up. Well, even if you don't, it's coming. Whether you wake up or not. But I'd rather have you woken up and a little bit more prepared. And part of understanding and comprehending all of this and how they're getting you into the contracts and seemingly getting away with what it is that they're doing and the agendas that they're unfolding upon us, or trying to, okay? So we need to start pulling our heads out from down on the grass, chewing the cud, and start looking up around, because there's stuff going on. The weather forecast's not looking too good. So you need to get yourselves prepared, and comprehending how it's being done is one of the first steps. You know, if you're not feeling a little bit agitated or anxious or a little bit of anxiety about what's going outside of you, because the wolves are circling the paddock, folks. And if you're not getting a little bit, feeling a little bit of anxiety at the moment, then, you know, you soon will be. So yeah, we've got to work together. And it's got to be a bottom-up system, not a top-down. We've got to stop voting for parties, people. Stop voting for parties, because they might have 90% of great policies, but then those little 10% of policies that we don't like, that's the little totalitarian tiptoe towards the agenda of tyranny. That's what that is. That little 10% that they take each time they, it's death by 1,000 cuts. Take away your rights, one little cut at a time. There is no opposition, folks. It's controlled opposition. It's left wing, right wing on the same bird. Okay? When you've got billionaires coming into this country, you know, billionaires, billions and billions of dollars they've got. If you don't think that they're not going to have some sort of influence on the direction of the policies of the so-called people that we elect, from the selected, that we get to elect into the positions of supposed authority and power, which they should have no authority and power anyway. They should be doing only what we mandate them to do. But no, we don't get no binding referendums. We don't get no say in that matter. And yet people still go out and vote in a system that they know that they're not going to have no say over. In a system that's full of the most denigrated professions out there. You know, everyone knows politicians are the dirtiest, lyingest, cheatingest ratbags out there. They'll anything for $1. So I mean, and when we're out there voting for the biggest scums of society to make rules, laws, and policies that our society's run by, I mean, this is insane, folks. It really is insanity, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's a threat to my health. It's a threat to my children's health, and it's a threat to my grandchildren's future. And I'm not going to sit around and just allow it to be rolled out unquestioningly, without any contest, without any objections. I'm going to be the object, because I got the front row seat, just like you guys. Become the objections. Start objecting, folks. When you're caught, you need to object. So I might leave it there. My kids are home by the sound of it. So thanks for joining us all, guys. I hope you've learnt something there. If you can, get on to, I'll leave you with a couple of things here. I'll try and get on weekly if I can, but it's, life's busy. Life's busy, and stuff doesn't do itself, unfortunately. It's all nice and good being keyboard warriors and all that, folks, but it's not stopping the rolling out of the agenda that is the enemy of us all. I mean, it's not a human-friendly agenda, folks. It's not very nice, I tell you. Oh, maybe it is nice. Maybe it is senseless and foolish and stupid. It is. It certainly is. So there we go. Hopefully just planted a few more seeds for you. I'll start where I finished. Again, question everything I've told you as well. Question everything, folks. But start getting out there. Start finding your little groups. Start finding your tribes, folks, because your tribe is your vibe. Get into your tribes and your vibes right now, as soon as possible. Get back on the land, get your gardens going, get your fuddies there. Start tribing it, because that's the only way you're going to survive what's coming. Because voting ain't going to stop it, folks. No matter how hard you vote, you can keep voting as hard as you like, but it's not going to stop it. Okay? Stop battling that system, because that system's not friendly. It's not soul friendly, folks. It's a soul dyer. It's a soldier. It's a battlefield. When they get you to charge, they charge you up and then they discharge you. After they've conscripted you, of course. But then you get draft. Don't you? You get draft there. I'll give you some dog tags too. But anyway. So now I'll leave you. So what do we cover? Yeah, a bit of etymology. So we did a bit of etymology. Gone over a little bit of doublespeak. And we know that the laws of nature are written in the language of mathematics. The symbols are triangles, circles and other geometrical figures, without whose help it is impossible to comprehend a single word. And even then, it's very difficult, because each and every one of those little symbols can have its own meanings in and of themselves, as a particle in their own symbolic nature. Okay, coincidence is God's way of remaining synonymous. And there's no such thing as coincidence, folks. So get back into the state of your divineness and your divinity. Keep asking questions and being as kings. Get back to the truth and the heart of the matter, because home's where the heart is. And keep vibrating out there. Keep shining your light organically, vibrating energetically. Keep your own cups full, folks. Keep your own cups full, and then you can quench the thirsts of others. Thanks for joining us. Love and light. Might catch us in a week's time. Cheers.